What do they do? Tell us.
Meriton is the largest developer in Australia. They have built, I think it's about 60 to 70,000, more like
75,000's on their latest stuff. G'day, Glenn,
70.
Amal, Penny. Lovely to see you guys on this morning.
We missed you guys.
We missed you. We're back. Alrighty. Meriton, so you had the awards, largest developer. What do we do for them? What's our role with them?
Okay, so a little bit about our company. We are a real estate company. We have 50 full-time staff. We have different pillars in our business. We have a large property management portfolio of 3,000 landlords and tenants. We have commercial, which you're heading up, Michael, sites and commercial properties. We have secondhand property. And then we also have brand new property that we sell off the plan. And fortunately, we have been given the opportunity to sell Meriton stock across Sydney. And fortunately, we've got a Meriton development right in our backyard, which is Lighthouse DY, which has been incredible for the suburb.
Yeah, it's strange that, well, not strange. It just shows how little development we have when the largest developer in Sydney, New South Wales, is building 75,000 units. We've never really had the opportunity to sell for. They did one a little bit in, well, not a little bit, they did a lot in Warriewood, but that was 10, 12 years ago. So really, well, I was probably still in school. So it wasn't really there. And then they had, DY, they've got this, Meriton was a huge factor of the new master plan, basically revitalising DY Town Centre with their development called the Lighthouse. It's 4 buildings, 17. It's the tallest building on the Northern Beaches, 17 stories, which once we got to look into Meriton, it's quite funny how we looked at this as like the biggest building in the world, and it's probably one of their smallest developments. To give a bit of perspective on how large these guys are and what they do, they just got one approved like 60 levels, 70 levels in Parramatta, and then knocking down a 10-story building to do it that they built. So it's they're big, and it's been a pleasure to work with them.
The Pagewood was that they're moving ahead with is 4,000 apartments in Pagewood. And I know when we say 7 stories in DY, you think to yourself, yeah, is that big? But people got to understand that the whole of Northern Beaches, which is a population of over 200,000 people, the whole of Northern Beaches has never had a building higher than 7 stories. This is 10 stories higher than any building that's ever been built in the Northern Beaches. So it was big stuff for the community, and it was 100%. It was really interesting last night. So last night we had the awards night. We were top 5 agents in the country. Selling for these guys. It's wonderful to have that trust for them to be an ambassador of their brand. And what a bunch of lovely guys and girls in the team. And the one thing that resonated that I noticed in their team is a lot of long-standing people. So most of the people that appeared to me really young had been with the company for sort of upwards of 15 years. And I was pretty blown away.
It's pretty crazy. And then there was generations, like there was a member who we deal with regularly. Her father had been in the company for 40 years, and then she's in the company as well. So I think that really shows the strength of, well, just the culture, the family culture. It's a family owned. Harry's, and like he had his 2 grandsons there. I think nearly all his members of the family, as in kids, grandkids, great grandkids, they're all sort of within the company, which is pretty strong. You don't really see that a lot. And they were there. Who else?
Well, look, this like Harry Triggerbob's built an entire empire off obviously a very private person, but he built an entire empire and fiercely competitive, but fiercely loyal, and fiercely family, but based. You know what I mean? So never. Even though it's a heavily corporate business, I think some of the guys were saying, like, some of the biggest builders in Australia, their team is 90% smaller.
Wow. Yeah.
And they're putting the same output of construction out there
If
than
not
I
more.
won't use the names, but I'm talking
Yeah.
the biggest builders in Australia,
Yeah.
public companies. These guys have got 90% less staff. It just shows the wastage, and it shows the efficiency of companies like this.
Well, you're building X amount of units. It just shows a lean fighting machine. Hey, they just know what works. They keep to their structure. Okay, so what was the vibe? Because we were there last year. They had a big party. We won.
Yep.
Agency of the Year. Because they would have a good vibe or barometer of the market in sales, because they're all over New South Wales. So what was their vibe last year? Needing sales, not needing, or the market? And what was their sort of vibe, the inside scoop, you could say? Because over a glass of wine and steak, they'd probably give you some good views. And the other agents there as well. How did selling Meriton go for the guys in Whoop Whoop compared to DY and what we did? What's your take there, Mark?
I think hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I distinctly remember. I'm happy to republish Harry's speech from last year, Harry Triggerboff's, and I should say Mr. Triggerboff. I should. I distinctly remember his speech last year, and he prolifically said, "We're going to rent them.
Yep.
Don't worry, we're going to rent them. Don't worry, because we're going to rent them. That means we're going to sell them. So we are renting stock for you to sell in the future. It's
Correct.
cool." So
we just keep building. We keep building. That's what it says. We build in tough times. We build in good times. We keep building. The only difference is we either sell them or we rent them. I loved it.
That was it.
And then he goes, "I always pay my bills."
I always pay. Now to be a year down the track and to actually for that stuff to crystallize, reading between the lines, he was saying pretty much the market's screwed, but I'm still going hard. In a very polite way, I guess he was saying that. I know he was saying that because now you see it now. So that was the tone last year.
Yep. And what was the tone this year, like in this meeting? Did they forecast anything for the next 12 months?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of talk about that. And these guys, we're talking the biggest developer in Australia here. This is informed chit chat. Do you know what I mean? It's I listen with laser like listening. When these guys speak, and it seems that and it's consistent with our business. It seems like post the elections, for those guys, the market changed.
Thanks, Todd. Todd said great insight. We've got lots of people that have just jumped on. Mark, do you want to give a quick what we're talking about? Meriton Meeting Awards.
So last
jumped
night
on. Feel free to shut questions.
A lot of the senior team from Meriton last night at the awards. I had an awards night. It was quite an intimate night. There was only about 20 of us, I think, round table. And we came away with top 5 agent in the country for them. These are guys that sell over 1,000 units in the course of a year. So we're really, really proud to be part of selling their stock. And the conversation is incredible. And I'm sure those sort of guys take those conversations for granted because they're amongst each other all the time. But a boy from DY, I didn't take it for granted, and I really listened to what everyone. And that's what we're talking about a little bit today.
Perfect. And what were they forecasting for next year? I'm sure everyone wants to know. What was their crystal ball saying? Yeah.
So, well, first of all, there was the last year was talking about where they were going, what they forecast. What actually happened was the second half of the year really lifted its nose, particularly straight after the election. The election was the real catalyst for a developer like that, for real estate agents like us. And then the future seems pretty bright. I think everyone's conservative, but certainly they're unlocking a lot of sites, still conservatively and pretty optimistic. What was interesting talk was the first home buyer incentives that's coming into play.
Yep.
And first home buyer incentives were there's the 5% deposit down, and you don't need to put in that further 15%, but the government will guarantee
guarantor your loan.
Interesting for developers, they don't get a sniff in that.
Oh, so there, with all this talk, they didn't say, I'm going to buy this building and do 1,000 one-betters. It was there was no vibe. It just,
anything. Unfortunately, they can't take a 5% deposit.
They can't take a 5%
They can't take a 5% deposit. So I think first home buyers, unfortunately, for that new property market, they distinctly said that when there was that grant where buyers were getting up to 35 grand, they did very well. That was about 3 years ago. But the tone out there, from what I'm hearing from these guys, is they can't take 5% deposit for developers for financing reasons, and
good
they need 10%.
Actually.
Huge. I thought it was big. Yeah. Because I sort of thought
great for the buyer, but the bank who's funding the construction, they want more skin on the. They want more skin in the game, and a 5% deposit on a purchase. No,
it's not going to happen.
Good point,
so
actually.
that was really interesting talking to the guys about that and possible solutions around that. Not really much at all.
Couldn't a buyer put down 10% and get refunded 5% after they settle?
They don't have 10.
That's the point as well. They don't even have the 10.
If
they had the 10, that's the only way that could work.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, good point.
So
Very good
that
point.
was interesting. So, but on the brighter side, I think there's an organic lift. So two things. There's a knock-on effect. So I think when that buyer then that market gets stimulated, and it definitely will, not with secondhand properties, with stuff under 650, with 5% deposits. It kicks on and up into the next price range, which then kicks on up into the housing price range. So there will be a kick up effect with the first home buyer stuff that's happening in the first quarter of next year. And then the second thing, I think organically, they can deliver. Meriton can deliver 500-600K stock into Sydney. Believe it or not, I didn't think so, but they do, and even two betters. And then what I think you'll find is there's an organic lift just across that whole price range, which then makes their stuff look cheap, which then means they start pushing up again.
Correct. Did they give any insight into all the cladding and construction drama going on? Was there any conversation there? That would be good to get their view. But a lot of their stuff is pretty concrete, and they don't really build like that. I know the DY one's all glass and concrete, but as far as I'm aware.
And I think they're trialled and proven with their products. Something that we did have a chat about Meriton Australia last night was the people have actually turned to their product more. So the actual whole of the plan saga has actually been a good thing for a builder that's been around for 50 years. So I thought that was interesting. I thought, everyone thinks people are recessed away
people buy brand
from
new.
Off the plan and recessed
because
away
brand
on
new.
new
Two,
properties.
there's huge tax
They
depreciation
definitely
benefits.
have.
Three, most of them are generally positively geared because renters love them. So it was never like I don't see it as an even investment. A secondhand property and a brand new property, as far as I'm aware. I love your thoughts on here, Mark. A brand new property is superior for your investment property in so many ways, shapes, and forms. As long as they are built quality and a reputable builder, a lot of the concerns. Where'd you go? Are you still there, Mark? You left my Zoom. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay.
We wigged out.
Okay. What I was saying, I generally believe brand new properties are a better investment. Now, don't get that confused with owner-occupier as an investment, because there are some significant incentives for tax and positively geared and depreciation, which you only get, or you get on a much higher level on brand new properties. I think you're back. Yep. You're on and off on my facey. So,
I'm
Todd,
back.
Amal, Andrew, if you're watching, if you can let us know if Mark's back on. He's dropped out but dropped in. I kept audio because I had you on Insta. So
Cool,
yeah, we'll see.
cool. So now look, it's really, really interesting. Another thing inside of those guys, what a tight crew.
Yeah.
And a very young crew. Like I think the one thing that I learned was I think they're the biggest hotel chain in Australia now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, and I could be, but I think the number was about 6,000.
And I think he's
Yeah,
building more, like a
yeah,
lot more.
yeah.
I think there's a
So
whole building in the city is doing service apartments now. A
yeah,
couple.
it's an interesting channel for those guys because they can sell it later.
Yeah.
In one line, they can sell it later individually. They can just sell it later, or they can run it as it is. So I think that for short-term accommodation, Meriton's done a pretty incredible job, and the sentiment towards their product is very good, very consistent.
Yeah.
People really like it. So it's a little bit of an Airbnb. There's
Yeah.
Fabulous Cleaning Solutions. How are you guys?
Yeah, he's a legend.
It's a bit of an
and his lovely wife. I think that'll be his wife, not Fab's watch on Insta. He goes, give her all the credit on their stuff they're doing on Instagram. He goes, I send the photos, she does all the magic.
if you need cleaning done, that's where you
yes. go. And at least cleaning anything Northern Beaches. But that would be a really good point with how they're pushing through with the hotel. Either the tourism side of Australia is pumping and there's just huge demand for short-term accommodation, or the residential sale market's so bad that they just don't want to sell them, so it's better than selling them at a low price, or the rental market for new stock, well-maintained stock, is so good as well. So I'd love to get their insight one day on their driver, because I think even in the last 2-3 years when it was a really good sale market, they still built a lot of service apartments, which could have been. So, or it could just be spreading their portfolio between, because I think he's one of the largest landlords of Australia, if not the largest. So you've got your residential
definitely. He's the largest developer, the largest landlord, the largest hotel. But I think it's also just spreading the love a little bit around. Like, I think it's just, accommodation's a beautiful market to operate in, whether you own it, whether you rent it, or whether you rent it for short term. And I think the thing that I learned talking with the guys is they're actually still developing a unit block. Make no mistake.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's call it a hotel, they call it a unit block that they're going to sell 100 units in or 500 units in later. It's a hotel, but yes, it's a unit block. So, I think it's super clever. For a guy who's in his late 80s, very, very on the ball. Very, very on the ball.
All right. Anything else you want to add on the award? So top 5, we were last night at the Meriton Awards.
I think the team, the guy like Michael, you've achieved a lot of the sales in there. Michael Silic, Angelo, Glenn, Belinda, Armano, Steve. Everyone's actually done a lot of Lisa. Everyone's done a lot of deals for Meriton and Meriton DY. Look, something I do want to mention also is they were particularly keen to learn about how the community's taken it, and taken the DY Meriton. They were particularly keen to know about the commercial, because they haven't had a lot of exposure in commercial in Australia. And it was really interesting talk, because I do think that DY is pretty proud of the product. And I do think DY was actually missing that product. And I think when that was delivered, that's when it was actually really identified. And as it's been probably a year now since the building's been there. And I think people have really affectionately thought, love it, love the parking. We talked
in
about
the grass area with the fountain, like, people love it. Just go there to chill. I'm keen to see that during summer. I reckon there's going to be a lot of people just chilling in that piazza area. We should hopefully
Well,
bring a lot of bodies to the cafes and restaurants down there.
yeah, a lot of people have got their mojo. They know where to park now. They know their little favourite parking space. They know their favourite food space. We talked about the restaurants in there that are doing well and not so well, that are in that precinct. We talked about the boom gate.
Yeah. What they say about the one going in the basement, obviously. Yeah.
So the parking for a new parking boom gate, it's about, I think, 300 or 400 grand.
Yeah.
I didn't realise they charge that much for those bloody gates.
May as well just leave them up and let's enjoy the free parking.
It's amazing.
They have done that at the moment, though.
Hey, I don't think it's from. I don't think they want it though.
Definitely not.
No, but that's Meriton DY. That's Meriton Australia. What an amazing company. A very private company, so it's amazing to be invited and talking with those guys. And I think they're very keen, most importantly, to do something more. So we are working with their acquisitions team closely to find something on the Northern Beaches, scalable. So the big thing about the Northern Beaches is it wasn't a real big Asian market for prospective purchasers, and it was a very low debt market. Actually, can I tell you one thing that I learned last night that was the best thing for my career?
Certainly, Mr. Novak.
When you buy a Meriton unit and you get Meriton finance, the finance is approved until the property's built.
The finance is approved. And then what happens when it's built?
They fund it.
So
Meriton Finance is the only funder in the country that funds off the plan on exchange.
So it's not, because there's no subject to vow, no subject to this. It's just approved. That's what you mean?
Yeah.
Because if you buy off the plan, it's like subject to this. And if the market goes up or down,
I don't know if I can get the loan in. I don't know if I can get the loan in 2 years.
Correct.
But if you get Meriton Finance, they approve it, and full stop on exchange. Amen.
Which is a big factor, especially if you're buying something that's going to be there in 12, 18, 2, 3 years time. Like I know with my one in Roger Street, we had vows swinging from 1.2 last year to 850. Like there's 400K, 300K difference. Same unit, 12 months apart, but it's wherever that penny drops when the property's going to be ready, you could be very vulnerable. So
if Meriton approves
that's huge.
That's huge.
That's huge.
If Meriton approves your finance, you're good. You're good to go. You're good to go on settlement. You don't have to worry about covering your bum on. You don't have to worry about covering your bum on valuations. You don't. You know, even if technically if you lose your job within those 2 years,
you're still good. And they will allow you to do the application before you've exchanged. So it's not even like, let's lock you into the property and you got to do it or you're screwed, or we're going to do a really high rate. They're offering like 3-4%, and you can do it before you exchange contracts. So you can put down a holding deposit that's refundable. It's a game changer. It's hard to quantify because a lot of people won't get it.
You should buy one.
Yeah, you can.
I'll buy one. No.
Let's do it. Let's all buy one.
But that's really phenomenal that these guys will approve finance for a unit when you buy it before they built it. They will approve you. That is a game changer. Yeah.
Alrighty, Mr. Novak, thank you for this. Finally back with all our people.
Yeah.
It's good. What day is today? Wednesday. We'll be here tomorrow.
We won't do that to you guys again. So we've got, I think we're 2 weeks out before the show ends for the year. Yeah. We've got some really good topics coming up that we've planned. Very excited about them. And
but if you want us to speak about anything, we're always open for more. Shoot your ideas through anything. We're always here.
Yep. And thank you everyone for your support.
Awesome. Thank you very much. See you everyone in the morning. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.